All right.
My name is Engineer Norbert Chips Anieke, currently the Secretary, Honorary Secretary for the National School of Engineers, Lagos State Branch.
My name is Engineer Ilemanwebe. I'm the Vice Chairman for Nigerian Institution of Structural Engineering, Lagos State Chapter.
My name is Engineer Abdulfatah Itunde Lawal. I'm the Assistant Secretary of the NI Lagos State Chapter.
And my name is Anthony Chukwudi Okoye, and I'm the Chairman of the Lagos branch of NI-E. So,
if you can get started, to start with, the capability to monitor distress building spreads across the state. Also, the states has over the years its own fair share of building collapse.
all right, thank you for the question. Starting from the beginning, there is a reason for those buildings collapsing. There was a reason that those buildings are coming down now. If we had done what we should have, it shouldn't be. In terms of capacity, Nigeria has the capacity to stop it. Lagos State government has the capacity to stop it. But the issue is, will they be willing to do what is necessary to stop it? What have they done? What are they doing? What are they going to do? Nigerian Institution of Structural Engineers, Lagos State branch, is making itself available to collaborate, and we are already collaborating with Lagos State government to be able to put this to a stop. We are not alone. A lot of factors come into collapse of buildings. But when you have a building collapsing, it is a structural matter, mainly structures or foundations. In fact, it's an engineering matter, irrespective of whether it is a geotechnical engineer or the structural engineer or the M&E engineer. Okay, it is an engineering matter. Okay, so Lagos State government, yes, they can build, they can mobilize the capacity that Nigerian Institution of Structural Engineers are placing in their hands to help. And I think they are working towards that direction with the provision or with the introduction of CAP, even though we still very much believe that they still need to tinker with a couple of other issues that are besetting CAP for now.
Did you just say the Lagos State government has the capacity or the capability?
No, they don't have the capacity. That is why they are bringing in professionals like NI-E, like the engineering professionals. That is why they lack the capacity.
Talking about the LAPSCA now, well, in what way will you say LAPSCA have the capability?
LAPSCA does not have the capability as it is. That's why the CAP program is being put in place to harness the resources available to the built professionals to be able to come in and work with LAPSCA, hand in hand with LAPSCA, to be able to bring a solution to this. So that is the only way LAPSCA could mobilize capacity to be able to do so. We're only saying that the level of involvement should be widened or specific to areas of specialization so that the effectiveness of the exercise will be felt a lot better.
And this program has been discussed for over a year now. What is happening? Because building has continued to collapse.
Well, I would like to refer to Engineer Aileme, who has been working on this project.
Will building continue to collapse in Lagos?
Yes, buildings will continue to collapse in Lagos.
Why?
Because, like he said, there are two programs that Lagos State government has mapped out. One they have started, the other one they have not started. The one that they have not started is the one that is able to look at existing buildings before they collapse. They look at existing buildings, determine their state of structural stability, determine whether that building will come down or that building will continue to stand or can be refurbished. And that is purely an area that is the structural engineer is the only one that will say so. Marking your building to come down does not determine that the building can come down. It's only a structural engineer that can be able to tell you that this building cannot survive. Just like if a man dies, no matter in Lagos, you must get what? Certificate of death from a doctor. It's only a doctor that can certify that. So that CSIP that has not started should have started alongside with CAP. That is our view. And that is the exclusive area for structural engineers to be able to determine the status of some of these buildings and then advise their owners. If they want to recover it, the possibility of recovering it. If they want to bring it down themselves, they do so. If government is to bring it down, they do so. But nothing of demolition or determination of the fate of that building can be done outside the professional ambit of the structural engineer.
You have just said that when a building is marked for demolition, it doesn't mean that the building will go down, that it is only a structural engineer that is determining the fate of the structure of the building. Then don't you think the Lagos State government, or should I say LAPSCA, must have inspected that building?
LAPSCA is not a professional body. LAPSCA is an implementation agency.
Yes.
So that building normally should have been given or should have called in the structural engineer to be able to investigate and write a report about the status of that building.
But the structural engineers are not under, some structural engineers, are they not under the employment of the state government?
No, they are not. No, they are not. They are practitioners. It's just like asking a lawyer to come and represent government in any matter. So if they call on structural engineers and Nigerian Institution of Structural Engineers to intervene in any of those structures, we will. We have done that in a couple of places on behalf of the government. We have done that before.
Mr. Fatoki, all right. Thank you very much. My name is Engineer Aileme Unwibe. Also the Vice Chairman of Nigerian Institution of Structural Engineers, Lagos branch. I want to throw a bit more light into the statement you made earlier. So LAPCA has in its employment professionals responsible for carrying out building control work. They have engineers, they have, I believe they would also have structural engineers, maybe members of the institution also. But in carrying out its work, I believe Lagos State's activity of construction in Lagos State is far way outweighs the number of professionals that LAPCA on its own has, personnel to oversee and cover this. So I believe what the chairman was referring to, that professionals who are practicing are now being included. Do they have capability? I would like to help diffuse this. Capability is having competency and having experience to carry out the work. I want to believe that there will be level of competency in LAPCA. There will be capability, but do they have capacity? Do they have enough boots on ground to cover the entire state and the local governments? We all know that construction goes on morning and night in Lagos State. You pass a place and in a few days it has changed. Do we have enough hands? We also have issues of what I'll call cultural issue, which is really human nature, and people want to just do what they've done in the past. They also have not placed, and I don't know where this went wrong, but they have not placed most of the engineering or required professional works in the hands of professionals. So engaging professionals to oversee and to be part of the development. And this is part of where LAPCA is carrying out implementation and enforcement of the Lagos State Building Control Agency regulations, and to make sure that the general public and those who are building comply with this. Lagos State also knows that we exist. There have been instances where they call for distressed buildings. Please help us look at this, because we have competence and we have capability in that area. Now, I would want to say that
Let's continue, sir.
Okay. I was trying to hold my thoughts.
Yes.
Okay. I wanted to finish into and tell you this, that so the capability part of it, I believe in different hierarchy, LAPCA, which is the building control development, they are in charge of that. They would have, they have capability, but the capacity to cover the entire state at any time is what brought about or birthed the initiative, which is the Certified Accreditors Program. Now bringing in the private sector to increase the professionals that will be able to have oversight, inspection, and staging. It's called staging, which is really inspection of the works at different times to make sure that it is constructed according to the approved designs.
Do you think NAPSCA and other agencies that are able to monitor and inspect distress within Lagos have the problem of fund or security backup?
We have read in news media, and we also know that this could happen, to have to gain access to buildings that are distressed. Now, LAPCA may have looked at the building or checked it. I believe as a professional that just like in the medicals, when someone is sick, you find a solution, a remediation to get them better. If a building is sick, which is what we call inspection and investigation, there are ways and engineering designs that we can use to prop it and to bring it to be a safe building. It may now be not worth it because it may be too expensive and all of that, but let's leave economy out. Let's say, is there a way we can get this to be safe? Now, that is the major work of a structural engineer. And I think what we have presently, Lagos State Building Control Agency has, we do not see published reports, and we do not have anything in the domain, public domain, that says that an investigation has been carried out in most buildings that are marked. Now, if we have visibility to this, or maybe this could be published or on a website where they could be checked. If my house is marked and I'm told that this house is distressed, I should have a bit of some work that was carried out to determine this.
To start with, sir, I want us to talk about buildings that are under construction, but at the same time, they are distressed.
Yeah, thank you, Fatoki.
Why should the building under construction be distressed at the same time?
It's actually a contradiction. It shouldn't be if things had been done properly from the beginning. Because to construct a building requires quite a number of things that you must do. There are drawings you must prepare. The structural drawing must be done following the architectural drawing. Then there are services drawings. Now you have to also assess the costs so that the client is prepared to bear the right costs for the job. So those are the procedures that you want to undertake at the beginning. Now, if any of those steps are missed out, you could have a possibility of a building under construction being distressed at the same time. But if the procedures are undertaken properly and you have a set of drawings fully designed by competent professionals, structural engineer, the architect, the services engineer, and those drawings are approved for construction, and then the on-site supervision, which is extremely important. A lot of times you could do a very beautiful design, but it gets messed up during construction. That's part of the problem. So that could happen where even though you may have a nice design by competent designers, but the building aspect of it gets a problem because there is no follow-up in on-site supervision. So it's not enough to design a building properly. You must also engage the designer, preferably, or another competent person, if it's not possible to get the designer, to supervise the job, to make sure that the design is being followed in the construction. Otherwise, you could have this problem we just talked about. I don't know if I answered your question.
Yeah, you answered the question.
Okay, okay.
Why has buildings continue to collapse, especially in Lagos?
Well, like my colleagues have said earlier on, quite a lot of factors could contribute to that. But most importantly, like I said, the design has to be right. The supervision has to be right. In that supervision, you ensure that the materials being employed are right, because the design specifies everything. Specifies the material, specifies the labor, specifies the costs. All of that are part of the design process. And the idea is that the client ahead knows what's involved and prepares his budget to suit. And then he engages the right man, the structural engineer, to check the structures, because a lot of times the problem comes from the structures, either the design or the construction, like I said earlier on. So if you design it very well and the man who is building is not being monitored or does not have the capacity to build it properly as designed, then you could have the same problem. So when we have a lot of collapses in Lagos, it's basically a lot of times because some of these processes were not followed rigorously during the construction process, during the design and construction process, And then for existing buildings, like the vice chairman said, yeah, existing buildings could develop this, just like human beings could become sick along the line. Existing buildings can get distress along the line, at times age factor, at times also material factors. A lot of things could happen. At times the loadings, the usage of the buildings after it's been, because that's another problem. You may design a building for a certain load category, and then in usage, you started using it for something else. That building could develop stress in the process. That's a very common problem we have in industry. You design a building, a floor, to carry a certain load, and especially in industrial buildings, you go to factories, you see a lot of buildings are being used for the wrong purpose. The way the load being put on it was not anticipated at the design stage. So it could develop this distress we're talking about. So, but the point again is, even when the distress arises, must the solution be to demolish? No, not in all cases. You could have ways to remedy the problem without demolishing it. That's what the vice chairman spoke about, that quite a lot of times we see building being marked X and is up for demolition. But the point is, who has certified this building that is really, really must be demolished? So it's not enough to look at, there are a lot of cracks here and there, so demolish. It's wrong. You should bring in a structural engineer to certify truly that the only solution to that building is demolition. There could be many other things that can be done to resuscitate the building, to the structure, to revive it, to make it to even last some more years. So demolition is not the only, it's actually a very last resort. And it's only structural engineers that are qualified to certify that and say, look, demolish this. And even in demolition, there are techniques for demolition. All of that resides with the structural engineer. So it's a whole lot of issues, really, that to discuss the full length and breadth of this problem probably will require a little more time than we have at the moment.
And what is our role in the construction industry?
Well, that's a double-barreled question. But to answer you, who is a structural engineer? A structural engineer is one who has gone through the training and assessment to determine his capability to bring about solutions, engineering solutions to engineering problems. To be a member of Nigerian Institution of Structural Engineers will require that you undertake a course in the higher institution, that you must have studied civil engineering or you must have studied structural engineering. You become registered with NI/E when you attend their courses and do their 7-hour paper examination. Or you must have a degree. You come and do the same exam. But the point, a degree in civil engineering or structural engineering. You may not necessarily have to have a master's degree in structural engineering to come. If you have a degree in civil engineering with a proviso, the proviso is that Nigerian Institution of Structural Engineers will test your capability to identify engineering problems, set it up in the engineering context, bring a solution to engineering challenges. That is what their exam is all about. Are you able to identify what the engineering challenges in a situation? What are the factors affecting it? Set it up properly in an engineering format. We call it general arrangement. And then bring a solution to it. That's what Nigerian Institution of Structural Engineering does. So every member of Nigerian Institution of Structural Engineering has demonstrated their capability and competence to be able to identify engineering challenges in the public space, be able to download it and prepare it in the format that is recognized in engineering, and then solve the problem. So to identify the problem, generate the problem and in an engineering format, and then solve it is what Nigerian Institution of Structural Engineering is looking out for. So those that make it to be registered are those that have demonstrated that. Now, there are other areas of civil engineering that one can practice, not necessarily structural engineering. Okay, but for you to come to structural engineering, we are saying that you must be able to demonstrate this capacity, this competence to be able to bring a solution to an engineering problem. It's unfortunate that very many of our engineers and the graduates do not understand, this process. But that's why we are still in the advocacy business of trying to, educate people. Yeah, when we do our exams, there seems to be on a high level of people not meeting up. But there is always room for improvement. We offer courses to enable people who didn't meet up to be able to try again. Professional exams are things you do everywhere in the world. Okay, you pass it, good. If you don't pass it, you have opportunity of coming back again to redo it until you pass it. It's just as simple as that. But if you don't develop, if you do not have the capacity to get these things done, there is no need throwing you out there to be able to be causing problems here and there. So that is what makes NI Struct different, from the other engineering group.
Thank you so much.
Now, there is something that my colleagues said, which I want to give you an instance. You can do good design. Foundation, no problem. Geotechnique, no problem. But it can be the services that can bring down a house. A lot of people don't notice this. You can finish your structures in place, and you have services engineers or services providers who do not have an idea of what the structure is. You see them maim a column because they want to pass a pipe. They disable a column. You see them disable a beam because they want to pass 6 inches, 5 inches pipe through it. They disable it. Maybe the structural engineer is no longer on site at that point in time. Okay? So when you have a child, and when that child is born, you go and maim, disfigure the hand or disfigure the leg, do you expect that child to walk well? That's where the stress starts. So services can actually bring distress over time. Okay, so there are many activities that can do that. That is why the secretary was hammering on competent supervision. Many people may pay to get the services of a structural engineer, but they don't go the hog to allow the structural engineer to do what we call residency supervision. So he will have an engineer on site to be able to check what is being done, that it is done properly. So these are some of the factors.